Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is chapter 26 of Outed, the happy ending. This is the final chapter of the story of Mitch and Jared. Let's get started. We'll start with Jared's point of view. Mom asked that the next time we had sex, we warn her. She'll visit Mrs. Jackson next door. I thought we'd kept it quiet. Well, except the little tweak to Mitch's ribs. I couldn't resist. Friday, mid-morning at the dive was pretty slow. A couple of people sat at the tables, but that's about it. Nice calm jazz, the beautiful aroma of fresh ground coffee, and a clear morning sky. We had gotten the bed home all right, got it set up, and took the old one out to the backyard. After dinner, Mitch and I closed the door for some alone time. It had been every bit as good as the other night, maybe even better. Afterwards, we had talked way too late. Way too late. Everything with Bailey was finished, except for court today. We could finally write him out of our lives. Officer Lopez and Z pushed open the door and walked in, heading right for the cashier. Odd. Z should be at high school. Z had a hat just like Mitch's, including the pin. He wore a vest just like the vampires, except it had wrapper patches on it. Last night, Mitch said he had retired the vampire. He didn't feel like he needed it anymore, and hung the vest in the closet. Just wait until our next late-night party. It was about time I got to play the vampire. I even bought fangs. Officer Lopez and Z took a seat at the counter and said hi. Thanks for coming by to help yesterday evening. I took the first cup, Z's, a soy latte with mint flavoring. We live to help. Officer Lopez adjusted Z's hat a little. Z adjusted it back. I collected recordings again, wrote up the report, and those are all waiting for the judge to see. I can tell you, I don't think the judge will be too happy. Officer Lopez's coffee came next. Another latte, but with full-fat milk and a dusting of chocolate. I thought Mitch was supposed to be here. Z took a sip of his coffee. He called a little while ago and said he was on his way. He had to stop at a store. The door opened again. Josh, Michaela, and Mom? Josh had one arm, Michaela had the other. Mom had her cane, and they made their way over to the counter. Z moved over to let Mom take a seat. Mom, I said, what are you doing here? It was about time I saw the Java dive, she said. It looks nice, but how's the coffee? Mom, you drink my coffee every day. What do you guys want? Josh asked. I'll order. They told Josh their orders, and he walked over to the cashier. Michaela took a seat next to Mom. Mitch called and told us you were heading to court. We thought we'd wish you luck and get some coffee. The cashier slid 3 more cups down, and Josh came back and stood behind Michaela. He told us about last night. Sounds pretty stressful. The video's already online, Z said, and pulled out his phone. You should see it. Mitch was beyond calm. Full vampire? Michaela asked. I gave a half grin. He was ice. Some blonde guy walked in, giving off a California surfer vibe. Light blue silk shirt, full-length khaki slacks, and a dark jacket with the left sleeve pinned up, almost hiding the sling. Bruises covered the left side of his face, and he had a little cut on his cheek. Mitch? I said. His hair was short and blonde, like the picture of 2 goofy kids messing around. Mitch? The coffee overflowed and burnt my hand. Mitch walked over to the cashier, grinning and blushing. He pulled out the hat and placed it on his head, backwards, then slowly rotated it. Hey, boyfriend. Mitch? Coffee boy, stop looking at your boyfriend. You have customers, Officer Lopez said. What happened? I finished Michaela's order and handed it to her. Somebody might have called me for a little bit of help getting ready today. She smiled and reached a hand up to hold Josh's. Girdle with the Claw, Mr. Geek, the Vampire, and now Coffee Boy. It's about time you had a name. Where's my coffee? Mom said, her eyes twinkling. You have to leave soon, so hurry it up, Coffee Boy. The cashier let out a little squeal behind me. What now? You okay? I called back. Trouble with the pen? Mitch came over and joined us. Michaela grabbed his hand with her right. Mitch, I said, smiling. Wow, you look great. Thanks, Mitch said, ducking his head. It feels weird. I haven't had short hair since middle school. Why did you do it? I asked. The smile disappeared off of Mitch's face. I was looking for somebody. I don't think anybody else understood, but I did. My goofy best friend who hid away to keep his dad from beating him. Did you find him? Mitch gave me a crooked grin that meant more than anyone but me would ever know. I did. I started on Mom's order. So why is everybody here? We won't be here for long. I have to get Z back to school. Officer Lopez looked at Z's vest. You have a patch for 13 hells? I didn't think they were your style. I gave Mom her order and started on Josh's. They're not, but they're Mitch's favorite. Z held up his phone and did something to it. The light came on. Was he filming us? I handed Josh his coffee, then grabbed Mitch's cup. The cashier giggled and accidentally snorted. All my friends were quiet. Mitch had the strangest look on his face, blushing, biting his lips, then grinned again. Finally, a full-out smile that stretched across his entire face. I didn't think he ever smiled that big. Michaela held Mitch's hand. Josh tensed. Mom cackled. Z smiled so wide he could fit his phone in his mouth. What's going on? Mitch's cup didn't say decaf black. It said, time for a new good luck charm. Something rattled inside it. The cashier hopped up and down, squealing. Inside the cup were 2 gold rings. Now it was my turn for the stupid look. This makes it official, Mitch said. I can't believe how good he looked. I can't believe I started crying. I poured the 2 rings into my hand and walked around the bench to the other side of the counter. I knelt on one knee. This makes it official. January. Will you be my Mr. Parker? I took Mitch's left hand and slid the ring on. Mitch took the other ring, pulled me to my feet, and slid the ring on my finger. As long as we can go dancing, Mr. Parker. Mitch. Jared and I sat in the courtroom, Jared's left hand holding my right. For once, I was glad I wasn't alone, that Jared had taken the time to help me. Maybe I didn't have to go it alone, not anymore. Staring at the gold band on Jared's finger, I pulled his hand towards me and kissed it. What's that for? Jared whispered. Helping me get through all of this, I said. On a table by the wall were a few odd things. I walked over to take a closer look. A baseball bat, a few broken chess pieces, a clear evidence bag filled with broken glass pieces. Some had blood on them. A large bag with the outdoor mat and bloody drag marks on it. The remains of the burnt and broken G-Skyr telescope. My old glucose pen and test kit, half melted and black and burnt. Pictures of the damage to my truck. Pictures of me at the dojo and the hospital. It's my old life, I said quietly. Jared gently shook my hand and kissed it. You have a new one now, a better one. A man walked up to us. He held my ladder, my journal. Mitch Lassiter? I didn't recognize you without the long hair. It looks nice. Thank you, I said. I'm Mitch Parker now. This is my fiancé, Jared, I said, displaying my left hand and the ring. He asked me this morning. Congratulations. I wish you both the best, he said. If you have a few minutes, I'd like to ask you a few questions. I'm the prosecutor overseeing the case. He flipped the journal open to the page of my skateboarding accidents. I took a deep breath, stared at the ceiling for a moment, and Jared wrapped my hand in both of his. Before we could talk, Bailey and his attorney walked in. Bailey wore a pressed Italian beige suit, a simple black tie, and casual but expensive loafers. Another man, I supposed his attorney, walked behind him. I looked at my borrowed shoes, wearing my borrowed clothes, and fought the panic in my stomach. Jared squeezed my hand. With as much determination as I could find, I forced myself to stare at Bailey. The prosecutor noticed where I looked and glanced over at Bailey. He nodded, and an officer stood by me. Officer Lopez. "Just remember, Mitch," he said, "you're not alone." The prosecutor said, "I've studied your statements, medical reports, and..." Bailey adjusted his perfect tie and smiled that perfect smile that makes people believe everything he's about to say. He didn't notice me. I took a deep breath and interrupted the prosecutor. "Thank you for believing me." Bailey must have heard me because he looked back at us. The cocky smile, the nice clothes, all the money in the world. The monster. I had my hat. I put it on, and Jared adjusted it, making sure he flashed his wedding ring. Bailey didn't recognize me at first, but I could tell the moment he did. His jaw tightened, his eyes narrowed. He fell into his chair and stopped smiling. Edna had asked me just a couple of days ago, what would I say if I had 10 seconds to say something to Bailey? I said, "I used to think you were the greatest person in the world. Any love I felt for you, you destroyed. I hope you go to prison. I hope they put you in a place where you live in fear and get beat up every day. Then you'll know what it's like living with you. Goodbye, Bailey. I never want to see you again." Because the police had so much evidence, Bailey's attorney convinced him to plead guilty and beg leniency. After all, he only had multiple accounts of assault with a deadly weapon, aggravated assault, destruction of property, destruction of urgent medical supplies, vehicular vandalism, little stuff. The attorney tried to argue that his client, a first-time offender, only needed community service. The judge thought otherwise. Bailey eventually received a sentence of 6 years with parole in 3, including mandatory psychiatric sessions before, during, and after his prison stay. I never saw him again, but I did receive a letter with an apology that read like he was trying to make points with the parole board. I never responded. 1 year later. Jared. We sat on the tailgate of the ugly truck, under the stars, watching the Perseid meteor shower. The overlook was crowded tonight. Michaela and Josh and their baby sat on one of the benches. Officer Lopez and his wife had taken custody of another. Z and his boyfriend, that was 3 boyfriends this year, maybe 4, sat on another. Mrs. Jackson and Mom sat on yet another. Mom had lost 75 pounds this year, and with Mitch's help, had her diabetes under control. Next to the edge of the overlook, Donna and 6 grandparents. Mitch has a lot of grandpas, clustered around the new G-Skyer. Newest model with every bell and whistle. Mitch had memorized the entire instruction manual last month. And the Hardings were here. They had catered the party with all kinds of snacks and even talked about monthly star parties. A lot of the guys from the dojo were here as well, including Sensei Robert and his family. Mitch convinced Sensei Robert to make disarmament techniques a part of every belt test. He drilled them in every class he taught. Robert had agreed immediately. No one complained. If any of the new kids did, Z showed them the video, and they don't complain again. Mitch has quite a collection of plastic knives and blow-up baseball bats and toy guns they train with all the time. The skies had not disappointed. Millions of stars, and at least 2 meteors every minute. The air was so clear, so quiet, except when Z and his boyfriend pointed to each meteor and laughed at some private joke. Poor Mitch. He was exhausted, but he was determined not to miss this party. Even slept all the way here as I drove the ugly truck. This party was for him. Today had been his day, because he finally earned his black belt, and we had officially placed his first place trophy from the last tournament for kata excellence in the trophy case at the dojo. Between 5 miles jogging, the kata demonstrations for every single belt, the sparring with almost every adult in the dojo, even Sensei Robert, and then the belt ceremony, he had been at it for 5 hours straight. Mitch leaned in close, his head dropping onto my shoulder. Could you put your arm around your date and let me sleep here? You earned it, Mr. Parker. You can't believe how proud I am of you right now. Thank you, Mr. Parker. Can you rub my neck? Headache again? No, it just feels good. I pushed Mitch forward, enough to massage his neck and shoulders. Mom walked over. She doesn't need the cane anymore. Daily walks with Mrs. Jackson have done her legs wonders. Turns out, she never sold the old home, but had converted our old room into a project room. Mrs. Jackson and I are going to head back, Mom said. I never understood why you two loved it out here so much. Now I do. Invite me again sometime. I'll bring snacks. I have some new recipes I want to try out. Dinner on Sunday at 6? Make it 7. I have a later shift. The Hardings congratulated Mitch next and left for the Butte, followed by Z and his boyfriend. Donna came by with all of Mitch's grandparents. I'm proud of you. We should have been doing this for years. We still can, when you're in town. Our new tradition. I'll be back in a couple of months. Finally, Officer Lopez came by. Just to let you know, Z plans on getting his black belt in a year and thinks he can get the next first place trophy for kata excellence. I think you've got a rival. Tell him to come by some Sunday. I'll give him a few pointers, but not tomorrow. I'm sleeping all day, Mitch said. Only the new G-Skyer and the ugly truck remained. I lay down on the blankets on the bed of the truck. Mitch lay close to me and was asleep in seconds. I pulled Mitch close and touched the scar on his cheek. Only the little scar remained from that night a year ago. The bruises had long ago faded away. The arm was back to normal. But sometimes Mitch would stare off at nothing, and I could only guess what was going on in his head. One kiss, lingering on the scar and drifting to Mitch's lips, was all it took to distract us both, sometimes for hours. A meteor streaked above us. I would have made a wish, but everything I wanted in life was here in this truck. Snoring. The end. Thank you for joining us on the saga of Mitch and Jared. I appreciate it.